Amimo was the first person on the streets, just getting the reaction of Kenyans on this. And it would be interesting to first engage him in this conversation. Amimo, I am almost certain that you've listened in to the presser by Wafula Chebukati, the IEBC chair. So allow me quickly to pick your mind a little bit. You're a seasoned journalist. Just listening to what he's had to say, what quickly comes to mind?
The chairperson has confirmed that surely the commission is under siege and it is now being run on a partisan interest. Already when he says that some of his decisions have always been flawed, they've not won support from majority of the commissioners, then it shows that really the chairperson is having it very rough trying to steer that ship that is IEBC. He's also come out and said that he is a lawyer by profession, and that's very, very significant because running a commission without just an understanding of the laws, because there are so many laws that guide the election, and it's a process, it's not an event. So there are so many laws that guide the election, and as a chairperson, you have to be privy to all these laws, or else you risk maybe having whatever process you did undertake being cancelled or nullified. And that's why the chairperson was very keen to say that he's a lawyer by profession. So it appears in a sense, he could be telling the other commissioners who might probably be trying to go against some of the advice, the legal advice is giving, that this is not something that should be run as in a pedestrian manner. We need to follow law. There is constitution, is something that has to inform us. And also he's expressed his frustration about maybe some of the maybe senior members of the secretariat who might have engaged in some of those irregularities or illegalities, and maybe they appear to not to be moving or adhering to the disciplinary measures that have been instituted by the commission. Then it shows he's really frustrated, and he feels that such officers, maybe their continued stay might impact the election. So that is what I can gather from the commissioner. But he says, maybe very interesting, he wants to meet the top leadership in this particular contest, which is President Uhuru Kenyatta and opposition leader Raila Odinga. He wants to meet them and maybe have a talk with them ahead of the election, because it's very, very important that he meets them. And so we've seen the two leaders engage in chest thumping and grandstanding, and it's not very, very comfortable this time around, because that is heightening the political temperatures in the country, and it's not a good thing. That's why the chairperson wants to meet them and maybe have a one-on-one talk and explain to them the current situation in the country, that if they continue that way, then we might not have a credible election. Linda?
No, I'm with you. It's interesting that you say that, because, yeah, he's just listening into him, you can tell he's a man who's, quote, under siege. He says he's calling on all those men to step aside. And like you rightly put it, Amimo, he's turning all the attention to the political leaders. And he says he would rather go out with his name intact. And he says he will not allow anyone to destroy the country as long as he is the referee. And he says he will not resign. Resigning is not an option, but he says he's giving a yellow card to all political leaders in the country. This is a chairman who is determined to see that this process ends up being free, fair, credible. And that brings in the story that you are focusing on in the morning. Rosalyn Akombe, one of the commissioners, resigning, saying the environment is no longer conducive for her. Apart from the tweet that we read from the IEBC, basically saying they'll give more information, what else do we know?
I was at the secretariat, and the only person who was there was the chief executive officer, Ezra Chiloba, though he was not picking his phones, but he was in the office, and I could say he was the only senior person at the secretariat who was in office. Early in the morning, there was a meeting. The IBC, that team that has been mandated to carry this October 26th election, was to meet political parties at Laiko Regency. That meeting never took off. The vice chair, Connie Maina, was supposed to address the political parties. We also had the Deputy CEO, Hassan Marjan, also who is the team leader of this project, Project October 26th, was also supposed to brief the political parties on IBC preparedness. But it appears that particular meeting at Laiko Regency did not take place. Neither of these commissioners did show up at Anniversary Towers, and I'm told that I learned that Commissioner Bolu could be in Naivasha trying to undertake the training of poll officials ahead of this election that is now scheduled for next week, Thursday. But majority of the commissioners were not at the anniversary towers. The CEO, Ezra Chilobo, was present, but he was not receiving any telephone calls and or responding to text messages that we did send to him. So that was the situation at the anniversary towers, apart from the police officers from from the Kenya Police, the GSU and the Prisons Department having kept cordon off that area of anniversary towers because of the ongoing demonstrations by NASA supporters who are demanding IEBC reforms ahead of that particular election. So that is the situation that was obtaining at anniversary towers today. Very little activity at the head office because most of the staff who checked in, the few staff that were there were not very busy, engaged as such, because the commissioners were out in the field, and most of the staff have been deployed out in the field to ensure that they get the necessary training ahead of this particular election, which has been scheduled for next Thursday. But then from the talk of the chairperson, it appears the political leaders have to put their houses in order to ensure that we have a credible, free, fair and peaceful election as it was, so that the country moves forward regardless of who will win that particular election, so that after the election, all the winners and losers can greet each other and forge ahead. Linda?
Yeah, he says the peace is what you get when the winner does not help the process. Patrick Amimo from our City Center studio. Patrick, thank you. Of course, this is a story that keeps developing. So that presser that we've just had from IEBC Chair Wafula Chebukati was at the Bomas of Kenya,